Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to forgive, even though we know that's what Jesus teaches us? It seems contradictory, doesn't it? The idea that we should trust God, forgive, and still face so much suffering. But what if I told you that true forgiveness is not just for others, but for ourselves? And what if, by forgiving, you were releasing an immense force within you, capable of transforming your life? Jesus' forgiveness is the key to a journey of faith, where we not only seek healing for our wounds, but also find a peace that surpasses understanding. Are you ready to understand how this can change your life now? Let's explore together the power of forgiveness and how it is the key to full trust in God's plan. Forgiveness is undoubtedly one of the greatest challenges of the Christian life. Jesus taught us to forgive, even when injustices seem impossible to handle. When someone deeply hurts us, it is natural for anger and resentment to arise. However, trusting in God's plan and the example of forgiveness that Christ left us is the key to liberation. By following this path, you untie the chains of bitterness and take a firm step towards peace. True freedom arises when we choose to forgive. Jesus was the perfect model of unconditional forgiveness. Even though he was unjustly condemned, he not only forgave those who betrayed him, but also invited us to do the same. Imagine the strength this requires. But by trusting in God's plan, we know that he gives us the courage to follow this example. Forgiveness is not an act of weakness, but a step of faith, a demonstration of trust in God's promises, which allows us to leave behind the pain and move forward with confidence. By forgiving, we not only free others, but most importantly ourselves. The journey of forgiveness is a daily process that requires patience, dedication, and faith. Remember, forgiveness does not depend on feelings or the change of the other person. It depends on our decision to follow God's plan. In doing so, you will be preparing yourself to face life's next challenges with courage, knowing you are walking in the ways of divine grace. And make no mistake, trust in God's forgiveness will open new doors for you, allowing you to begin walking a new path of motivation and faith. Failure is often seen as an end, but in God's eyes, it is merely a step towards growth. When we fail, the temptation is to sink into guilt and shame, but Jesus shows us that forgiveness is what restores. He teaches us that, through failure, we can rise up with more strength, wisdom, and faith. Forgiveness doesn't erase our mistakes, but transforms them, making them valuable lessons. Instead of staying stuck in the past, we can learn to walk with faith in the present, knowing that God is with us in every error and success. When we fail, we often see ourselves as unworthy of forgiveness. The truth is, God never abandons us. He offers forgiveness so that we can rise again and move forward. Reflecting on Peter's life, we see that even the greatest failures can be restored when we surrender to divine forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't make us weak. It makes us more resilient, focused, and committed to our spiritual journey. By receiving this forgiveness, we learn to trust in God's power to turn even moments of failure into opportunities for growth. As difficult as it may be, forgiveness is the key to our spiritual resilience. By forgiving ourselves and others, we become stronger, more confident, and better prepared for the challenges ahead. Forgiveness allows us to learn from our mistakes without being consumed by them. And it is through this daily practice that we draw closer to God and find the true motivation to continue the journey. Remember, every failure is an opportunity to rise, but only if you allow God's forgiveness to restore your heart. Forgiveness, like faith, is not something we do once and then forget. Jesus teaches us that we must forgive 70 times 7, meaning continuously and without limits. This requires daily practice, where each day becomes an opportunity to release resentment and anger, renewing our spirit. Forgiveness is not a one-time action, but a decision we make at every moment, especially when pain resurfaces. When we make forgiveness a constant practice, we strengthen our connection with God and purify our hearts. Imagine starting your day with the intention to forgive. Even when resentment tries to creep in, you consciously choose to let it go. Constant prayer is essential to maintain firm faith, and so is forgiveness. By forgiving daily, you grow closer to God and create a space of peace in your life. Over time, this practice becomes natural, like a deep breath that relieves tension and brings renewal. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make forgiveness a habit now, before resentment has the chance to take control of your heart. The beauty of daily forgiveness is that it not only frees others, but it also brings us lasting peace. It's easy to let offenses consume us, but when forgiveness becomes a daily habit, we begin to see mistakes from a new perspective. God calls us to a life of grace, and that includes the constant practice of forgiving. Each act of forgiveness is a renewal of our motivation to move forward in faith, knowing that divine forgiveness also applies to us every new day. Peter, in his walk with Jesus, made a grave mistake. He denied the Master 3 times. However, this failure was not the end of his journey. On the contrary, it was an opportunity to learn the true essence of forgiveness. Jesus, with immense compassion, offered him forgiveness, even knowing his weakness. This forgiveness not only restored Peter, but also strengthened his faith. True faith is not based on perfection, but on the ability to rise after a mistake, trusting that Jesus' forgiveness is always available. Often, like Peter, we may feel unworthy of forgiveness, especially when we fail in something important. The lesson he leaves us is clear. God's forgiveness is available to all, regardless of our failures. When we forgive and are forgiven, our faith grows stronger as we experience, in practice, Christ's unconditional love. By focusing on this forgiveness, we are able to face life's storms with more courage, knowing that God does not abandon us, even in moments of weakness. Faith and forgiveness are inseparable. Jesus showed us this not only in words, but through his actions. Peter was restored not because he was perfect, but because he had the courage to recognize his mistakes and accept Christ's forgiveness. Likewise, by forgiving and receiving forgiveness, we become stronger and closer to God. This process teaches us that, just like faith, forgiveness is a continuous path, always present on our journey. Forgiveness cannot wait. Jesus teaches us that we must forgive today, as tomorrow is not guaranteed. When we postpone forgiveness, we allow pain and resentment to take control of our hearts, preventing the peace of God from entering our lives. The present is the only moment we have, and it is in it that we must make the decision to forgive. By choosing to forgive now, we not only free others, but also give ourselves the opportunity to live in peace without carrying the weight of bitterness. By practicing forgiveness in the present, you become more aware of how it can transform your life. Sometimes, the simple act of releasing an offense can bring an instant sense of relief. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or that the pain didn't exist, but it means choosing to live without being trapped by the past. Every day offers a new chance to forgive, to release, to let go. Why wait another day when you can experience peace now? Jesus knew that life is full of uncertainties and that tomorrow is unpredictable. That's why he calls us to forgive in the present, because forgiveness is an action that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on our internal decision. By forgiving in the present, we create a lighter life, more connected to God's will. Thus, by releasing forgiveness, you open space for peace, motivation, and faith to flow freely, transforming your present and, consequently, your future. Forgiveness is an act of surrender, a yielding to the divine plan that requires trust. Often, our ego tells us to hold on to grievances, that forgiveness is a sign of weakness. But, on the contrary, forgiving is a sign of strength. When we choose to forgive, even without fully understanding the situation or the other person's behavior, we are showing that we trust God's plans, that He knows what is best for us. Forgiveness allows us to move forward, free to live according to God's will, without the baggage of the past holding us back. By practicing forgiveness, we are also surrendering to God's love, allowing Him to guide our lives. It's hard to trust when we don't understand why painful situations happen, but by giving our pain to God, we allow Him to turn suffering into learning and grace. Therefore, forgiveness is not just for others, but mainly for ourselves. It allows us to rest in the assurance that God is in control, and that by trusting Him, we have the strength needed to move forward with confidence. This faithful commitment to forgive also brings us closer to God in a profound way. When we forgive, we are saying, in words and actions, that we believe in His power to restore and transform all that is broken. Forgiveness teaches us to live with a pure heart, free from the chains of resentment and anger. By surrendering to God through forgiveness, we experience lasting peace and renewed motivation to follow His will in all areas of our lives. Now that you understand the importance of forgiveness in God's plan, it's time to act. Don't delay the opportunity to forgive any longer. Ask yourself, what am I waiting for to release my pain and embrace peace? Forgiveness is not just an act of kindness. It's a decision that transforms our life into something lighter and filled with purpose. So, how can you start forgiving today? How can you apply this teaching to the situations that challenge you the most? Don't wait until tomorrow, because the present is the only moment we have to release true healing. If you feel inspired and want to continue this journey of faith and motivation, check out the ebook Christmas, A Meeting with Divine Peace and Hope, available in the pinned comment. Take this reading to deepen your reflection on forgiveness and the peace that God offers. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue receiving transformative content like this.